Hey everybody, this is Vril. Welcome back to Extended Timeline World War II. We are now up to March of 2019, and in the last episode we had a war between Germany and Poland. Germany was allied with Turkey, and the Polish were allied, I think, with the Bulgarians and Croatia, and possibly others. The Germans ended up winning that war, taking quite a few provinces from the Polish here, and the Turks ended up taking one province from Bulgaria as well. Over in the Middle East, we had a war between Iran and Oman, and although I thought the Iranians would take a little bit more than they did, they ended up taking one province from Oman, and that should give them good access to this side of the Persian Gulf going forward. We also had a war between the USA and the Netherlands once again, and the US ended up taking a large chunk of this island from the Netherlands. Over in the Americas, we had a war between Mexico and Cuba, and Mexico ended up winning that war, taking all of Cuba now for themselves. Having a look at the militaries of the world, we have the Chinese followed by the US, the Soviet Union, the Germans, and the Japanese rounding out the top five. You guys will notice I went ahead and installed modern day flags finally for this series. And having a look at the wars that are going on, we have the Chinese-Japanese Nationalist War. Once again, the Chinese taking on the Japanese. We have the American-British Colonial War, so the US allied with the Germans against the British, and the Soviet Union somewhere in here. We've got Thailand as well. Mexico was on the side of the British for a while, but they had to, as has happened several times in the series, they ended up piecing out with the Americans. And we have the Mexican-Haitian Imperialist War. This is Haiti had almost not existed for a really long time, and I think they came back just with a couple islands here. Go ahead and get things started. And we'll probably mainly focus on what's going on in Japan and what's going on in Europe between the Americans. The Germans were completely out of manpower. They were doing quite well, taking over a lot of the Soviet Union, sieging them out, but as soon as they ran out of manpower, they kind of retreated back to Germany. So the Soviets are now flooding into Germany here, so it's not looking very good for the Germans at this point. I think the smartest thing for them to do would probably just be to go ahead and peace out if they can. But the Americans are the ones calling the shots there. We'll see how it goes, though. And the Germans might be able to. They're just going to need to have their 3-star generals here try to hold on. So the Soviets are now flooding into, I guess this would be Poland and Latvia, that kind of area. We've got Lithuania. That's currently under German control. So we've got the Congo is now sieging out some areas here in Germany, since they are on the side of the British in this whole thing. Did have the Germans were blockading here against the British. Wales still exists over here, so we'll see how that goes. They did ally with the Spanish, I did notice. I think I mentioned that in the last episode. Let me just... Something else. I meant to hit the diplomatic map here just so you guys can have a look. What's going on there? The Germans are allied with the Romanians and Turks, but they're not in this war or anything like that. Germans do have some pretty large stacks that should be able to take on the Soviets here. The Soviet army is pretty shattered, so as long as the Germans, I know they have no manpower, but I think they'll be able to defend here. Unless the British were out of manpower as well, so really not going well for them. Wonder if the Americans might show up. This is a colonial war, so we'll see what actually comes of this when it ends, assuming the Americans can actually win this war and it doesn't just wait peace. We've got... something interesting could happen. I do think that this possibly could be for this territory in Indonesia that the British are holding on to, possibly what is called British Indochina here, that is, they're holding on to. Looks like the Chinese probably want Korea, possibly all of Taiwan. was nice having the modern day flags on this now. Let me knock up our speed up to 3. Going a little slow, but here we go. We've got a pretty large battle between the... Who is this even? Kathiawar. I don't know who they are. Apparently on the side of the British here in this colonial war. And the Germans. So the Germans were able to win that out. The British and their allies have no military access, so it is up to 24. What kind of blockades are going on, just out of curiosity? Let's have a look at that. But yeah, the no military access of any sort. It looks like the Slovakians are having a little bit of rebel issues, noble rebels. So they might be trying to reinstall... Noble rebels should reinstall a monarch, if that's... Yeah, they have a Grand Republic right now. We'll have to keep an eye on that. They're probably going to siege that out for a while, like the... What were those rebels over in... Yeah, this is going to take forever. There were rebels over in Portugal that were sieging out for 10 years and finally overthrew. So here, the Germans attacking the Soviets. Let me just check on Soviet manpower. Okay, it was 100k, so it's not very good, but it's not completely taxed out either. Looks like the Germans should be able to get things together. Looks like they're building some naval vessels now. They had just, I'd noticed, I don't think I mentioned it, but they had lost a naval battle out here. What are they building exactly? Looks like they're building some heavy ships, some lighter ships, maybe. I don't see any transports or anything like that. But some warships of different sorts. Looks like now that the Germans are taking this area, they'll start sieging this area for the Americans once they get in there. So I thought that this Chinese-Japanese war was going on the positive side for the Chinese, but it looks like at this point it's not. So interesting enough, even though the Chinese have all of Korea. Japanese are coming back. I did notice that they had, I think, 100k or 400k manpower, so they're ready for this war, even though here we got a big battle between and we're a big slowdown as well, between the Germans and the Soviets. Let's see what the Germans can do here. This is going to be a pretty decisive battle here. Very decisive. 200k and 200k stacks. Very, very big. We've got... Can't tell who was actually attacking here. I think it was... Okay, so I think it was the Soviets, and they're taking this both a terrain and a crossing penalty, so that's not good for them. But I do see them trying to... We've got the British 40k stack trying to move in as well, so if they can get some of their stacks to join in, see the Germans are probably doing the same thing, then they might be able to win that, but it's not going to go well for either side at this point. The Soviets will probably be pretty much out of manpower once they resupply. We are up to July of 2020 now. I didn't notice that we passed that decade. Okay, this battle's really been going on for a while, I'd say. Okay, and we had the Germans ended up winning that one. That was a pretty big one there. Let's see what our war score is at. So the Chinese are now in the negatives. It's because the Japanese were sieging out, and apparently the Mexicans and the Dominicans cannot finish off the Haitians, even though the war score is quite good. They're probably both trying to attack the same land, I would think, over there in what the Haitians had. The Haitians were just down to a couple islands here. I mean, they've been gone for the entire series for the most part since the Dominicans took them out. Did have Venezuela does hold Jamaica at this point. I think I mentioned that before. So yeah, the Soviet army completely shattered. But they will be able to probably get their army together and probably try to take another shot at the Germans here. Germans are having a little bit of struggle here. I mean, they're trying to rebuild their army, their manpower, but they don't have the, they're taking attrition as well, and they just don't have the... Okay, we've got... The Americans have shown up in Great Britain. No military leader on their stack, but this is going to be pretty big for the war score going forward here. I wonder what will happen here. I'm curious, is this what's the war goal here? Are the Americans going to take colonies, or are they going to... I would think it'd be a war for independence if the colonies were going to be gaining independence. But I suspect that they probably at some point are going to have to peace out a little bit early, and they'll probably take over some of those colonies over in, like I said before, Indonesia. Still not going well for the... Yeah, okay. Got a big naval battle between the Japanese and the Chinese here. What have we got? It looks pretty even. We've got the Chinese... the Chinese have a lot of stacks here, so... Or a lot of transports, so possibly there could be units on those, but even with that said, not going well for them. I wonder what the tech level is here. We've got only 89 on diplomatic tech, 91, so certainly the Japanese are a little bit lagging behind tech-wise. Head back over to Germany. It looked like it was pretty clear who was going to win that naval battle there. Might flip, yes, so that naval battle flipped the war back in favor of the Chinese here. I would like our speed to go up a little bit more than what I have it at right now, but it's going a little slow with these gigantic armies we have facing each other. So I wonder if how the British are going to do. I think 65k 2-star general stack. Okay, we just had... Did the war completely end, or did the... Yes, it did. So we had... The Germans ended up taking some territory, and I don't think Latvia was here before. Latvia is now a country. I guess they do have claims on the German territory, but that's okay. Let's see what happened. I'm guessing... Let me just keep things going, but keep it at the slowest speed. So we'll see if the Americans took anything. Yes, they ended up taking a little bit of this territory from the British here. Yes, so that's what they ended up taking. Anything else, I wonder? Check out if the British... Yeah, they're still holding on to everything that they had. Just a little bit was taken. Okay. So what we wanted to look at, I did notice we had the Peruvian reconquest here in Panama against the Panamanians and the Mexicans, and El Salvador was helping out the Peruvians. Okay. Got a big battle between Peru and Panama there. Panama has a pretty large army. Who was on the side, or El Salvador was on whose side? I think the Peruvians. Yes, so if they join in on that battle, it'll be certain that the Peruvians will win it. Now, I swear that the Peruvians did actually hold the Panama Canal at one point in time in the series, and I think maybe they had to give it back at some point. Maybe they sold it back to the Panamanians, or they had separatists, something like that happened. Yeah, so the Peruvians won that, so that's pretty decisive, and that war will certainly go in that direction now. So also that Dominican War, just for some islands here, that the Haitians had here. Now the Mexicans both in war against... Is this... Haiti has the Bahamas, apparently? Not sure why they have the Bahamas, but okay. And obviously the Mexicans... I think the... Actually, now that I say that, the Panamanians with the Mexicans help here? That could be pretty big for them. But the Peruvians do have this 3-star general, so if the Mexican 2-star general, that's... We'll see what happens. Let me knock up our speed back up to 2 or 3. Probably take it up to 3, since we don't have that big war going on in Europe anymore. Should be pretty quick. So we've got the Mexicans attacking El Salvador. The Peruvians are sieging out in Panama. The actual province of Panama, that is. Yeah, we've got the Mexicans' pretty large army for this side of the world. So the Panamanians being on that could be very good for the Panamanians here. Quickly, okay, we've got another British colony wars, Commonwealth backed up by... Actually, some interesting allies here. We've got the Italians, we've got Iran helping out, and Spain, and we've got Great Britain. Not too many allies, not as many allies as they had before. And we have an Albanian conquest of Kosovo here. So a lot of wars going on here, sparking off. Quickly have a look here. We've got... So the British colonies against... This could go well. I mean, because the British have allies in Angola and Congo now, and at least I would say these colonies are going to be able to go siege them out. And same with Saudi Arabia with the Iranians here. Could go well for them. We've got the Iranians can go into British India as well, possibly. And we've got this war. So the Albania is at war with Serbia for the Kosovo province. Albania, okay, we've got even more wars going off now. Albania is backed up by Hungary, who's like one province, and Romania. Serbia and Poland together, interesting combination. Argentinian conquest, so Argentina is at war with Uruguay. And we've got, okay, so we knew about that. Portuguese are trying to take Mauritius. Okay, that's over in India. British Nigerian American change of form of government against Japan. Okay. We've had those before. They were never really a change the form of government, though. They ended up just being, let's take some land. So that's what they ended up being. Rather, the Casus Belli was changing the government, but they ended up taking land. I'm guessing that the Americans are probably wanted to take back this part of the Philippines from the Japanese. I wouldn't think that they'd want anything else that the Japanese currently have. But yeah, it's sort of coming on hard for the Japanese here. How is that Chinese war going for them? Okay, we've got an Indian... Mauritius is also at war with Deccan. Okay, Argentinian conquest. That is about to end, so let me just head on over here to Argentina. Yeah, they're going to completely finish them off probably here. Brazil had just released them a couple episodes back, or what? Did that just end? Okay, we did not get a proper update on the map there. Okay. So yeah, Uruguay is gone again under the Argentinians. And we've got... So Albania was on the side of the Romanians here. The Albanians, I was going to say, that's a gigantic stack for just Albania. But yeah, they have the Romanians and Hungary. I wonder if... Where was Hungary even on here? So we've got... Yeah, Hungary is this one province... Interesting that they'd be allied with the Romanians who took all their territory in previous wars. But yeah, the Polish, because of that German war, is really... their army is pretty much gone, so... should go well for the Albanians here. Not going well for the Japanese. I wanted to check on the Peruvian reconquest, but it actually does look like we're out of time for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, please hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.